All right, welcome to the PropLinq AI podcast, where we speak to industry leaders blending deep domain expertise with modern systems, innovation, and platform scale thinking. I'm Stuart Quintal, the founder of PropLinq AI, when we help real estate businesses transform lead generation, marketing, and operations with AI-powered workflows and tech. Today, I'm excited to welcome Jason Hayes, founder and chairman of luxuryproperty.com, a global digital destination and boutique brokerage serving ultra high net worth clients, listed developers, institutions, and sovereign wealth funds. Jason has over 25 years of cross asset real estate experience across Europe, the US, Latin America, and Dubai's ultra luxury market. Jason, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much for that very kind introduction. 25 years, gosh, I must have started young, I think.
Well, you're still looking pretty young from my perspective. So let's kick off with an origin story. What inspired you to launch your business, Luxury Property?
Gosh, a lifetime of trying to set up a digital destination, to be quite honest with you. I started my career doing student accommodation, was incredibly successful at it, very successful at it. Sold those group of companies in 2007, set up a digital platform called propertyandhomes.com in Los Angeles in the United States as a platform for marketing homes, adopting a sort of portal sort of mindset. That, as is always the case, sort of morphed into a platform where one would buy distressed real estate. And we basically sort of went from being a digital platform as a portal to a sort of digital platform for acquiring distressed real estate as a consequence of the sort of economic meltdown in '08. So we were buying, redeveloping and selling through that platform. So my digital aspirations weren't sort of fulfilled, shall we say. And bearing in mind that I built my first property website in 1995. I really am giving away my age here. I've always sort of been of the view that the marketing and sale and leasing of real estate is sort of intrinsically linked to digital footprint. Sold Property and Homes 2006, to paying tax, and then looked at favourable taxation jurisdictions around the world. We've been involved in Dubai since sort of 99, 2000. So I've always watched from afar in terms of, what an incredible marketplace. And then at the time of sort of making a decision as to whether we were going to stay in the United States or indeed relocate, we elected to come to Dubai to have a look. Came to Dubai, and I suppose pretty much never went back, I suppose, in many respects. When we sold the company in the States, we actually kept the domain, propertyandhomes.com, kept the brand. And it was my intention of rolling that out here as a sort of digital platform. The market here in the portal space is it's shared, as you know, by Property Finder and Bayuse. And I definitively thought there was an opportunity for us to disrupt. But my wife, who is without doubt the cleverer one of the two of us, insisted that we called the company luxuryproperty.com because the sort of essence of luxury in Dubai poo-pooed my idea of rolling out propertyandhomes.com despite its quite evident digital footprint and historic use, etc. And we sort of ran with we ran with that, and the original concept was that we were going to be a portal disrupting the sort of the space here in Dubai. But very quickly, and I don't quite know whether I should be complaining about this or not, but very quickly we realized there was actually more money to be made by being a brokerage and brokering real estate transactions than there were in being a sort of, a startup prop tech company. Now what we're trying to do some 10 years later is to be both. So we're definitively a brokerage, very successful, boutique, particularly very large. But now we're sort of taking those baby steps into the advertising space with a e-commerce platform that's in beta at the moment. Hugely successful. I think we've picked up about 10,000 international listings from 45 different countries. And we're now trying to sort of, I suppose, fulfill that ambition of mine to take that space if we can.
Yeah. Okay. Now, like, there's a lot of international experience that you've brought to, I guess, this business. Now, as the founder and also your title is also chairman, what does your day to day look like?
God, I crisis management. I love it. Real estate, like tech, is is sort of built on metrics and structure and infrastructure and teams, and then it's all of that is undone rather quickly by something that doesn't quite work. So this morning, as an example, I had a 8 a.m. meeting with the brokerage management team, great team here led by Sean Cullen. They run the brokerage, so I don't tend to get involved too much in that. But of course, I've got governance and oversight. So 8 a.m. this morning was with Sean and going through where they're at transactionally with the Dubai side of things. Straight into a 9 o'clock with our digital teams. Pretty much at the moment we're concentrating on the beta, so we're trying to get ourselves in a position where we actually go live, albeit it'll be very, very soft. And the fun part is trying to overcome the issues that come to light. I think that's where I'm probably naturally quite gifted in terms of recognizing where there might be a road bump and then how we actually get over that road bump or indeed round it sometimes. But there's no 2 days the same. This afternoon I'm flying to London on the matter. And through that process, again, because we're digital, we're not really sort of linked directly. We don't have to be office based sort of here with the guys. So we can be very fluid with what we're doing. Everything's organic. People will probably look back on luxuryproperty.com in years to come and say, gosh, if Jason had done some Series A funding and some Series B and all this sort of thing and brought in all of these experts and everything else, his route to success would have been much, much quicker. But what we've actually done is we've done it all organically in-house. So all of our tech is proprietary. It's from the wireframes to the designs to the implementation. It's all done sort of in bootstrapped, if you will, which basically probably means that we've got a longer sort of lead in terms of getting to market. But what it also means is no 2 days are the same. So you're constantly firefighting. But that's why we do it. That's why that's what sort of wakes me up in the morning and sort of lights my fire in some respects.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're a bootstrapped business, as you say, but obviously doing quite well over the 10 years, like any sort of funding will bring in potentially speed, but then also control. You're sort of trading off some control potentially. In terms of, I guess, like from a business perspective, like the clients today, you service quite a lot of different sectors of clients, I guess, but how have they evolved over the time since you launched?
Well, Dubai, they have evolved as Dubai has evolved. It's rather interesting. If you were to look to buy a 10 million dirham home in Dubai at the moment, now put that into US dollars, that's $3 million US dollars. It's a phenomenal sum of money. Your options in Dubai at 10 million at the moment are actually rather few, to be quite honest with you, comparatively. So I think the market is just the clients have moved on with the market. We've seen a phenomenal amount of transactions that are over that $10 million mark on homes that I'm surprised have reached that $10 million mark. And we've seen client behaviors become more and more digitally based. So the UI UX playing more of a sort of role in all that we do. We're seeing clients do most of their sort of due diligence and most of their sort of fact checking and everything else through our platform, through other platforms like Property Monitor or whoever it might be in terms of getting the data. And as such, the marketing realization for home has been much shorter. So as opposed to sort of, physically showing a client 10 properties, that client has already shortlisted the 2 that they would like to look at through the thing. Now that's changed immeasurably since 2017, probably in part because of the lack of inventory. So there's not a great depth of inventory here at the moment. So that probably drives the end user into making decisions quicker, and they're not sort of swamped by vast amounts of options, I suppose.
So, I mean, Dubai being, the market it has been, in the past, it was a very speculative market. Today, maybe less so because it's getting to a point where there's a bit more maturity. Are you dealing with a lot more end users or investors?
Primarily end users. Most of our clients are end users. We have a investment team here, and the guys are incredibly busy. But the majority of our transactional value is around end users, guys who are looking for a principal primary residence, who possibly have relocated recently to the United Arab Emirates and are looking for something spectacular, or indeed are, and it's a sign of, I suppose, of a maturing market, are going up in terms of number of bed spaces or size that they need, just as if they were somewhere in Western Europe or Australasia. So we're seeing more end users at the moment than investors in our space. That's not necessarily the case for the off plan market, where we have a team. They're busy there as well.
Yep. Now, if we start to look at the current state of the business, strengths and frustrations, what's been working really well for luxuryproperty.com recently?
Digital footprint, lead flow. We probably produce enough leads for about 500 real estate brokers, but we have 50. Our sort of digital, the hard work that went in the last sort of 8-10 years is coming to fruition in terms of our natural lead flow. The frustrations, I suppose, around the wider market, unregulated real estate agents, licensed real estate agents, the crazy unprofessional conduct of some agents who are regulated and licensed around, wanting ridiculous fees or top-ups or this sort of nonsense. I suppose one of the genuine frustrations has been, for the first time ever, we're looking at conversion metrics on offers. And normally, when one makes an offer, you never have to think about a conversion metric. You're always thinking, okay, well, that's going to go forward to a transaction at some point, unless it's a really crazy offer. But what we're actually seeing is vendors thinking, I suspect the value of my home might go up by X amount of money over the next 3 to 6 months. And therefore, I don't really want to lock in a transaction now at this level. And regardless of geopolitical circumstances or military activity in the region, some of the sellers are not proceeding with transactions because they think that they might get more with a period of further marketing. So that's a huge frustration at the moment.
Okay. So in terms of, you mentioned some of the metrics, I guess, but from a conversion perspective, but what other metrics do you monitor, I guess, from a platform perspective and lead quality? Like, is it conversion, average deal size, traffic, lead quality? What are some of the metrics that you really monitor?
Well, first and foremost, it's conversion from the website. How many guys are hitting the website and actually converting? That's the sort of the interesting metric for us. Looking at hotspots and looking to see where guys are going on the website and what are they doing. Is there anything that we could do differently to enhance conversion? We look at the minutiae of detail around how the lead is managed. So a client comes in, we will measure the performance in terms of first point of contact from one of our private client advisors to the inquiring client. How long did that take? Was that a 20-minute, somebody inquired and 20 minutes later they received a phone call, or was it, 6 hours or whatever it might be? Lead quality is a really interesting metric to measure here because, of course, all of our leads are elective. So there's nothing that we do that would cause somebody just to go, click, yes, I quite like that, I'd like to inquire. We don't do Instagram marketing, we don't do Facebook, we don't do that sort of marketing. It's elective. And therefore, as such, that client is interested in buying or renting real estate. It's whether they're buying or renting real estate today, tomorrow, next week, next month. That's the issue. So The other metric is around the viewings to inquiries, viewings to offers, sort of, that sort of those sort of fundamentals. Click-through rates are really interesting. Trying to sort of understand whether it's the visual appeal of the featured image that is affecting the click-through rate, or indeed whether it's the title of the description for the properties. The minutiae of detail is it's not rocket science, but if you can actually automate that. So by example, we did an exercise on alt tags. And we did a sort of metric analysis on our alt tags, which actually culminated in, I think it's something like 400,000 being reproduced using an AI function to try and improve the quality and readability of the alt tags. GT metrics is something that we're constantly looking at. So measurement of first bytes to on-page on-page loading, to the use of lazy loading, all of the sort of stuff that all of your listeners, I'm sure, will be doing across their websites. But driving that quality of user experience is enormously important for us, and that sort of forms part of our day-to-day management of our offering.
Yep. Now, you've mentioned some of the tech, I guess, but can you talk through some of the platforms or the tech stack or the automations that you're using?
So most of it, like I said, most of it's proprietary. When we're using when we're using third-party platforms, we're very, very careful to try and measure that. So adopting the APIs for some of those third parties, the SEMrush, that sort of stuff, pseudonym for for leads going through to clients, etc. So some of those that are used, but they're all linked back to our CRM system that's sort of proprietary. The AI space around what we do is enormous. I mean, it's truly, truly enormous, and we can't keep up. And the knowledge that is missing around that functionality is immense. AI callers and using all of that functionality actually changes immensely what we're doing. We're working on a prototype at the moment of something that's going to produce content where it's AI produced, but it's actually reading on Quillbot or Discover AI or whatever it might be as being human produced. So all of these technologies are quite incredible, and we can't keep up, and we feel that we're sort of we're at the edge and we're at the cutting edge of what's going on. But when you talk about real estate front end tech from a user experience, it hasn't changed since 1995. It hasn't really changed. People put a search in, they get a result, they click on it. Then it's the call to actions that change. It might be WhatsApp or text or email or whatever it might be. But it hasn't particularly changed on the front end. But the back end functionality is something else. We have a team of real estate brokers who it's getting to the point where they're not writing a listing. They're not writing a descriptive analysis of the property. They're putting in some bullet points, and then from there, that's being put into our algorithm, and that's throwing up the content. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not too sure, but it allows you to scale. That's for sure.
Yeah. Where do you see more opportunity? I guess from like AI, from AI or tech. Where do you see that there's more opportunity to be found?
I think definitively on lead management and follow up. So I think around the sort of the automation of the follow-up process across different mediums. So that could be X, that could be Instagram, that could be email, that could be WhatsApp, that could be text, it could be across different mediums. At the moment, that need not be a excuse me, that need not be a human interaction. That can all be truly automated. Grant Cardone will tell you need to follow up 20 times to get somebody to buy something. But I do disagree with that. But I think I think that follow-up can be can be automated. I think AI will play a significant role in that. Around the SEO and the optimization of content, I think AI has a place and a role there. You have to watch it because, of course, Google's constantly changing its algorithms on how it's looking at that. The voice systems are interesting. We tested one the other day, and I was actually in the States, and it called me. The guys, our digital team said, "Okay, we've got a test coming through," and I gave some very, very blunt answers, like some rather blunt, no, not interested, and it was coping with that. And then I gave some very bizarre answers, and then it failed miserably. And then at that point in time, you've wrecked your brand. So the moment somebody knows that you're on a automated, AI voice generated reply system, then all of a sudden you're not luxuryproperty.com anymore. You've over-egged the pudding. So I'm less impressed by the voice side of things. I know my guys here rave about it, but I'm more minded to actually, for the scheduling of appointments, for the scheduling of calls, for the scheduling of video meetings. We've got some tech where the guys, there's a video avatar of a real estate broker, and they were trying to do a Zoom meeting with a client to discuss a home on the Palm Jumeirah, and I'm like, oh no, we can't go down this route yet. And there might be a place for that in the off-plan space where it's a very high volume market and there's nothing sort of personal or emotional to the acquisition of an off-plan investment. But when you're selling a beachfront home, there is. And the knowledge of that beachfront home and understanding the intricacies of that beachfront home is something where I don't think AI will.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, looking ahead, I guess from a future perspective, challenges, if you were to say 6 to 12 months from now, what are your biggest goals?
Advertising portal is our number one corporate objective at the moment. Okay. So, shameless plug here, advertise.luxuryproperty.com. We anticipate an organic scale out of that over the next 12 months. Okay. I think in terms of the Dubai market, I think a cessation of hostilities in the region will help immensely. Because of course that's having a little bit of people are becoming a little bit nervous about the impact on Dubai. But from our sort of, from our sort of position at the moment, looking to gain greater market share in the super prime space, where we do very, very well, and matching, I suppose, keeping up with the sort of, the new prop technology that's coming in, and making sure that we're sort of embracing that and ensuring that forms part of our platform. But short answer, our advertising platform, we're looking to sort of market the world's finest homes and to provide a pay-per-play, e-commerce based platform for people to market homes on luxuryproperty.com, to receive leads directly in their inbox. And very simple platform, not complicated, but they say the most simplest ideas work sometimes. So we're rather hopeful that we might be on something here.
Great, brilliant. Well, Jason, it's been a wonderful conversation. Hearing how you're marrying high touch global luxury brokerage with platform intelligence is quite inspiring. Now, before we wrap, you've already you sort of let people know that advertise.luxuryproperty.com is that live for people to, I guess, register, or where can they connect with you?
Advertise.luxuryproperty.com. It's live. It's in beta at the moment. We've got a full team there who will be able to help any clients who want to place an advertisement, or click on luxuryproperty.com and contact us through there.
Great. And for our listeners, if you're building or scaling a real estate business with smarter systems, automation, or platform thinking, come see what we're doing at PropLinq AI. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.